called a Jaeger. It was made by Hercules. See the one behind you? That's a Hercules. So Hercules made this. Anytime you find an engine badged as a Jaeger, you know it came off a cement mixer. So this came off a cement mixer.
How many horsepower again?
3 horse.
3 horse.
So this was originally on a cement mixer.
And you're saying that the horsepower is measured in different ways, so...
Yeah, there's pony horsepower, there's brake horsepower. It's hit and miss. Now
So this is also hit and
one's
miss.
throttle governed. That means that every cycle it fires. So when you hear this one run, it's boom. 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 This is hit and miss, just like that.
And now what are you using for battery? You have a little battery somewhere?
This has a magneto.
Oh, this has a magneto.
It likes to be flooded when it starts.
There she goes. Yep. What's this over here?
That's a saw. Go ahead.
This is a little rig we had at Earth Day last year.
Has a run.
Smaller. They said small belt going directly.
Do you have trouble with your gas gelling up after a while?
No. These things I think would burn vegetable oil.
Oh, I see. There he goes.
Very typical of what most machinery would have. So,
Oh, sure.
machinery had this. So here, if you weren't using this, but you're running your one power source, but then you wanted to run it,
Sure. That's cool. And you'd have a grinder and a lathe and a saw and whatever.
anything that goes round and round.
You'd have the other belts coming off.
That one's about 1916. This is a vertical.
Oh, yeah.
Well, this came off an orchard sprayer. Well, I've
So
seen
the-
pictures of them. They were a big horse-drawn wagon with a great big wooden tank on them, horizontal tank.
Right.
You see the gear on it?
Mm-hmm.
That instead of a pulley,
Right.
well, that ran a
Oh,
pump.
vertical. Yeah.
So they pulled that through an orchard and probably sprayed DDT.
Right, right. There's something terrible.
Yeah, some insecticide, pesticide. But that's a Novo. That's about a 3 horsepower.
Oh, yeah, Novo. I see it there.
5 horsepower Galloway.
Do you like the little engines like this too, then?
Not too much.
No?
No. This is a steam engine. It's a 2 horsepower steam engine on top
Okay.
with a boiler on the bottom. This came, do you
No, go ahead.
folks know where Lancia is?
Yeah.
Came out of a blacksmith shop in Lancia.
So this is the boiler and the engine all in
This is a
one.
boiler and this is a vertical steam engine. This is a Baxter patent. Baxter patented and designed it. Colt Firearms manufactured.
Ooh, so it's good quality.
Well, did you know that Colt made steam engines?
No.
No.
But if you look at the date, see the date on it there?
1868?
So what was just before that in American history? War.
Colt
Do you think
45.
Colt was making pretty good profits in the Civil War?
Yeah, 'cause-
Making guns.
Yeah.
Now the Civil War's over. Now what do?
So they had to
They had
diversify.
to, that's the exact word I used. They had to diversify. So that's called a Colt-Baxter steam engine.
That's cool. Where did that come from? Olancha?
That came from Olancha. This sat on that pallet down in the Eastern Sierra Museum in Independence for years and years and years. But it was back behind some display cases, and they didn't have any place to display it. They didn't want to put it outside. So it was a friend of mine who was here. He passed away. But we went down there and made a pitch to the museum directors that can you loan it to us? And they did. So we brought it up here.
So it's on loan?
It's on loan. Technically.
Are you a steam guy?
99 years, but
Are you a steam guy?
I fired boilers in the Navy.
So have you ever tried to
I wouldn't trust that thing.
no blow up?
No way.
How much pressure would you need to get in there? Oh yeah, you can see the erosion up on top there a little bit. How,
I would say it probably steamed at probably 160, 200 psi.
so that's pretty.
Yeah.
That's a little scary, huh?
In today's world, that would have to be inspected. That would have to be tested.
One little crack,
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
this whole building would be gone.
probably, and maybe me too. So I'm not gonna do it. However, you can run these on compressed air. Compressed air is the same as steam. So one of these
So-
days, I'm gonna fiddle with it and hook it up to an air compressor just to run it.
Just to see if it goes, huh?
Oh yeah, I can get it to go. Yeah.
That's interesting.
This engine here, you can read it a little bit there. This was built about 1916 and 14, it says. This was bought by the Archelaris family, a family that's still in Bishop. But they had a ranch up on the headwaters of the Owens River. And they bought this brand new, and they ran a sawmill with it. They were milling lumber. And I don't know, a certain amount of years they did that. And then the story goes that we think probably around the Depression, things were tough, that they converted this over and they were running a crusher to crush gold ore. So they did that for a while. Then there was a 100-year flood, came through and it wiped the whole thing out. They couldn't find any of the equipment, it was gone. So about 25 years later, an almost identical flood. And it was a local guy, who was poking around on the ranch. This thing was laying almost on its side, and about this much of the flywheel sticking out of the gravel. So he dug around, determined it was a complete engine, and he went and found Mrs. Archelaris, and he said, can I buy that engine? And she said, no. But she said, don't you own a sporting goods store in Bishop? And he said, yeah. She said, I'll trade you for a brand new pair of snow skis. So the deal was made. He took his buddies up there, they got it out of the ground, brought it to his house here in Bishop, said he hosed it off, because it's been buried for a long time. But this is a dry climate, so after everything dried out, that whole time, it was probably pretty dry. You still can see a little bit of the decal on the side.
I can see
So that kind of tells you that it wasn't a real corrosive environment that it laid in. He swears the head's never been off. That tells me that the piston must have been clear back at the back of its stroke, so it protected
The whole cylinder, yeah.
the whole cylinder. He said a few things got broken in a tumble. He replaced those. He lubricated everything up. He put some gas in it, and it ran.
Wow.
They're tough old things, huh?
Huh?
They're pretty tough.
They're pretty tough. If that's not a testament to durability, I don't know what would be. But it runs.
That's funny.
Now, that has a magneto. I looked it up online. That was a $3.65 accessory.
What do you think these would have gone for? You said that one's about 5,000 now, but what do you think back in the day?
Back in the day,
Yeah.
these little smaller engines like this, probably in the $80, $90 range.
That's,
Something like this, maybe 150.
I mean, just to think of all the parts to be made for this
But
thing.
a penny was a penny.
I
back
know
then.
it.
A nickel was really a nickel.
Yeah, Nickel actually bought something, right?
It actually did. A penny bought something.
Pretty neat.
This 20 horse, we know a little of the history of it. We know it came from the Rudolph mill, which is the same place that red stamp mill,
Milling ore?
the milling ore. It ran that red stamp mill.
Okay.
We
Oh,
have a
really?
video of it running before they tore it down. But we found markings on it that say BCM Company. Now, we're pretty sure that's the Bishop Creek Milling Company. And that's up Bishop Creek, you know where the Cardinal Mine is? We think it was bought new and used there. And Mr. Wilshire owned that. Wilshire Boulevard in LA, he owned that mine. Supposed to be one of the richest deposits in history, you know, and there was a lot of that going on. By the way, can I interest you in some stock? Sure, $25 a share, and I can get you in on the ground floor over here. I think there was a lot of that went on back then. A lot of promotion, a lot of that. But that's where this one, that's as much as we know the history of that. But you see, I was talking about a dual fuel mixer. You see all the knobs on that? You see that little nice tank in the front? That was gasoline. So if you were running that on kerosene as a primary fuel, you started it with a couple of those knobs on gasoline, got it hot, then while it was running, you just switched it over, and then it would run on kerosene.
I think there were tractors and stuff like that too, weren't there?
They did.
That would switch over.
I'll tell you a story on my dad. My dad said when he was a teenager and had a hot date in his Model A, and no money hardly, he'd go, you know, along the highway construction, they had those round little, they called them bombs. They were flares.
Right.
Well, they ran on kerosene.
Yeah.
It was just kerosene and flame on a wick, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
Well, he said him and his brother go out there and they
Empty those.
put them in a gas tank and that Model A would run on it.
That's right.
That's cool. That is cool.
Well, it's a neat engine shop you got here. And do you run this one ever? I'm not asking you to do it. That runs, huh?
Yeah, that takes a little preparation.
Uh huh. Probably a
I
couple.
was talking about hopper cool. This is hopper cool. These are all hopper cool. So the combustion chamber's right here, and if you pour that full of water, that combustion chamber is surrounded by water. Can't get any hotter than 212.
You just got to keep the hopper full.
And I've seen them running at engine shows on a hot day, and there's just steam coming out. In fact, it's water boiling.
So you got to have a water tender to just.
Pour more water in.
But you got to keep. You can't leave for an hour.
Oh, it'll last a long time.
Oh, does it?
Oh, probably half a day.
Oh, would it? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks for the demo again.
Thank you so much.